welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. So if you had listened or watched during Lena Bond's episode, or at least the intro, I did mention that I wanted to push the show to newer levels. I wanted to try new things. I want to maybe upgrade things here or there. So I'm very excited to have for this to be the first recording for Kristiana Kamara, or back in my high school days, I knew her as Christiana Hayes. I'm recording this on my new Blue Yeti microphone. So I'm nervous because this feels different because I'm so used to a microphone from my face if you're watching on YouTube. So this is very much a step up, like 5 steps up from the microphone I was using. So very excited to test this out with what is, I believe, a great episode. All of them are great, but Christiana, she was so excited to when I asked her if she would like to be on the show, and then once we got going, I think in the end of it all, once it's all uploaded and whatnot, it might be one of my longer episodes just because she has such an intricate story, and she has such an interesting life that obviously an hour and a half conversation wasn't enough to cover the full spectrum of it all, but it was a great starting point for her to get her story out there. And that was the big thing for her. And she mentions this in the interview that she was very excited for this opportunity, because she's always looking for some outlet. So that's what I hope to provide for anyone that is interested in coming on the show. Whether it's your first time on a podcast, or whether it's your, like in Jen John's situation, this was her third or fourth, I believe, third. And I'm just very honored to have these guests on my show and tell their story and just talk with them. So yeah, Christiana, I knew her back in high school, and I thought she was a little more, honestly, in the public eye, or just because, you know how high school is. It's like you have your little cliques, your groups. I always thought Christiana as like one of those that's like, yeah, could dabble in some of those, I don't want to say like troubled, but just more like, I always saw her as like one of those that could dabble in like different social groups, whether it is the folks that are a little more of the outcast, or the folks that are a little more in the pub or in the athletic kind of community. Like, there's those group of people that are athletic in high school, and then they kind of create their own group of other athletes or other attractive looking people. So I kind of saw her as someone that can bounce around. So to hear her story and find out that she was very shy, I was just like, what? That's what? So it was a lot of those moments. So I'm again, if this is your first time checking out the Keoni Chats podcast show, I welcome you, but also you picked a great episode to come check out. So I don't want to hold you too long, just because it is a long interview. So I don't want this to be like a close to a 2-hour episode. So so if this is your first time checking out the Keoni Chats podcast show, welcome. The show can be found on all podcast platforms and on YouTube under Keoni Chats. And then if you want to stay in the loop when it comes to episode releases, just like this one, or if you know Jen John previously of last week's or 2 weeks ago's episode, and you want to stay in the loop as I release more episodes, you could do that by following the show on social media. It would be under KC Media 13 on both Instagram and Twitter, and then Conlu K Media on Facebook. So those are the places. During the interview, you see on I believe it's the bottom right-hand corner, a little lower third for KeoniConlu.com. That is my personal website. That's also where I do post the audio and video links. I guess that's where you can listen to the audio versions, and then you can also watch the video versions. There you go. A little more clarity. and then along with the show, I do have other creative outlets. So as of this recording, the divisional NFL championships games, which was fantastic, they have wrapped up, and then we're about to head off into Championship Sunday. So which means teams are getting eliminated from the playoffs, which means a little bit closer to a draft order, officially confirmed draft order. So the mock drafts will start to roll out. You can check out my first mock draft by going to the website again, keoniconlu.com, keoniconlu.com, and then that would be under blogs. And then you'll see other options, but my mock drafts are there along with my DC Animated Universe review series, which 2021 was released earlier in January, so you can check that out as well. And then I do take photos. So if you are wanting to get an amateur photographer to take some photos of you, let me know. I'm very happy to help you out. And then I like to just charge for food. I mean, honestly, feed me and I'm happy. So yeah, and then so I think, I mean, I don't want to hold you any longer. So however you are listening to this episode on whichever platform you prefer, or if you are watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoy my chat with Kristiana Kamara. Folks watching on YouTube, no, this is not a superhero because she looks like, I think the design on the top does give a superhero feel, like the V. She's wearing
like Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Ooh, there we go. The ultimate sign of female strength. Yeah, I mean, we got into such fun topics before we started recording, so I wanted to make sure we got this on because Kristiana. Now, do you still want to go by Hayes or do you want to go by Kamara? Which do you prefer?
Either one. I'm still legally a Kamara. I didn't change it. I just stayed as a Kamara. But for everybody watching back in high school, Hayes, it doesn't matter.
Might be a different last name, same old Kristiana though. So
yeah.
So yeah, before we were start recording, we talked about there's no fun way, there's no easy way to jump into this back again. We were talking about OnlyFans, the kind of adult content for sale kind of thing, kind of website, for those of you that don't know. And if you don't know, that's kind of like you're under a rock right now.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah. So again, recapping those that didn't, before the conversation started, we were just talking about how surprisingly how much confidence you need to submit photos like that for the public eye. Granted, they're paying for it, but it's. I mean, I'm not a female, so I can't really for you because you're a gorgeous woman. I'm sure guys ogle you your whole life, which I know, it sounds a little demeaning, but it's like you draw the male or female's attention because of your looks. How does that feel when you can kind of catch someone checking you out in like the distance, for example?
It's kind of a mixed emotion, right? Kind of like back to the OnlyFans thing. You have to really have a different level of confidence in your body. It doesn't matter, if it's you get this left side that looks good or you get this right side that looks good. It's you really have to not care what anybody thinks about your whole entire body. Not saying that I have an OnlyFans, because I don't. I've thought about it, but I don't have an OnlyFans. But I do have some really close friends that do have it, and it's like you're publicizing your body, right? But at the same time, some people take it negative and some people take it positive, but it's you have to not care what anybody thinks. So for me, growing up, I was really quiet. If you knew me, then obviously I socialized with you. If you didn't know me, I didn't really go out of my way for anything. So I didn't really feel like I caught that much attention, I guess is the way to say it. And that could have been my lack of self-esteem, my lack of confidence, because I didn't have a lot of that growing up. But now it's almost like I guess it's kind of like how you look at a person, right? You can look at a person like, wow, she looks beautiful, she looks gorgeous. Or, some people look at you and you're like, okay, that person looks like a snack or like a full course meal, So,
wait, what? You're a
You
food
know, you
dish
have
now?
yeah, you have to. That's how some people like categorize themselves. Or I always tell people I'm not a snack. I'm I'm not a meal. Like I'm a kid's meal, right? Because I come with kids now. I have toys, so like it's a whole package. But people, the way you look at someone, like if you're walking down the street and you look at someone, you can't just say you're the only person that thinks, wow, that person is beautiful. The person behind you is going to be like, oh no, they're going to have a different opinion, right? They're going to be like, maybe she's not my type, or you're going to be judged whether that person comes out and says it or not, or that person's going to be like, yeah, she looks, I don't know, that's my guy voice. Yeah, she looks so good. you know, yeah. Or, like, wow, she's beautiful. Or wow, she has 2 kids. She has 3 kids. Wow, she has a kid. She doesn't have a kid. She puts in a lot of work. I think
Yeah.
it really just kind of just depends for me when like I said, kind of depending on who looks at me, I'm like, oh wow, I caught someone's attention and like they're noticing me, or I'm like, oh my God, that person is looking at me. But the first thing that comes through my head is like, does my hair look bad? Is there something on my face?
Mm,
And I have kids now. So before I even like feel like they're judging me, it's, does my kid's hair look crazy? Does my kid have chocolate on her face? Is she dressed? Like the negatives come to my head before the positives do. And
mhm.
that's not always necessarily a good thing. But I think that in this economy and the way things are now, people are so insecure and so worried about how they look or what other people are thinking, that the people that do OnlyFans, like, I'm not even gonna lie, I admire them because they have the uttermost respect of their bodies. They're, and maybe you disagree with me, or the next person watching is like, oh my God, they're, publicizing their body like this and they're getting paid to do this. But it's like, no, like that body, they're showing you, like, yeah, they're making money off it. Everyone has to make a living somehow,
Yeah.
why not
Yeah.
get paid off
Yeah.
of it? But it's like, they don't care what one single person thinks about them, which I admire the complete most, because you are your worst critic at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So
It's
good
kind
job.
of like, I'm a sports fan, but let's say I buy a cheap jersey of the rival team, we beat them, and then I record on camera like I burned their jersey. The team's not
Yes.
going to care because you still spent the money to buy the jersey, and you're
Right.
still exerting the effort to show up on social media that you're burning this
Right.
jersey. You're wasting your own money. So for those people that are like, you don't like them on OnlyFans, then the reverse question can be, why are you on OnlyFans looking at me in the first place?
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, it kind of goes back to like, oh, I just in the fight world, right?
Yeah.
If there's a lot of just like talk, 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 oh, you can't do this, I'm gonna beat you at this, or your ass is mine, or da da da. And then at the end of the day, it's like, but bro, you hate me and you're paying $180 for my front row ticket. So maybe you hate me, but you're still paying my bills at the end of the day. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's how it is, like that's just what it is when it comes to either OnlyFans, or I think that's like the newest website that there is for that, or um, people, or if they have their own website, I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how it is, and kind of like you said, oh, you think that I'm a disgrace for showing off my ass, but you just paid $25 for the month. So
Yeah.
really, who's in the
Who's
wrong?
literally the ass in this scene or this situation
Exactly.
here?
Yeah.
With that same mindset, being in the fitness world or being in the like health motivational, health inspirational kind of industry, that I've seen you or I've seen Jessica Ashman. I'm not sure if you remember
Hmm.
her,
Yeah.
and where you are posting photos of yourself in almost very limited clothing to just show that you're working your ass off for these muscles and you're changing
Right.
your life and you're proud of it. Now, how can that kind of be? I mean, I feel like that's kind of still inside of kind of the same freeway, heading kind of the same direction, but obviously two different lanes. So when it came for you, and we also touched base on this again before we started recording, when you post these photos, I mean, even just looking at your profile photo, or just if for people that see
Yeah.
video right now. Now, what are some of your mindset? What are some of your thoughts that kind of cross your mind before you hit send?
Really, honestly, before I hit send, I analyze the picture like 20 million times, right? You want to know, oh, is that the right angle, or is this too much? And for me, it's, am I showing too much skin?
Mm.
Am I going to be judged for this? Or is my swimsuit up too high, so my left booty cheek is showing more than my right booty cheek? Or, is this love handle hanging out? Or for me, I'm a mom, so a lot
Uh-huh.
of it is like embracing my stretch marks, right? So, oh my God, is my stretch marks too much, or all of this? And it's funny you brought up Jessica Ashman, because there was something that she posted, I want to say sometime this year, and it was like in regards to, you have a picture, and kind of like I go through and you say, do I want to post this? I don't know, it's showing too much skin. It's, I'm not pretty enough, or my boobs look too small, or they look too big, or just do it. Like, what is my sister's mom's, dad's, uncle's, dad's, brother's, niece gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
And on there she was just kind of went off, and she was just like, you just do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, if you see my Instagram, it's public. You can see my stories. I'm pretty open about a lot of things on there. So my swimsuits, I have swimsuit pictures, I have workout pictures. They, at the end of the day, they pretty much show the same thing. But even now, I go through it and I'm like, do I want to post this picture? Do I not want to post this picture? Do I need to go through it 10 million times? And then at the end of the day, I sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to transition somewhere else. But at the end of the day, I sit there and I'm like, no, I worked hard for this part of myself, or
Mm-hmm.
I worked hard for this. And at the end of the day, we're gonna have those haters, right? And we're gonna have, I'm gonna go over here. We're gonna have those people that don't like us. They don't like the way my left booty cheek sticks out bigger than my right one, or I don't know. So
Let's say for your episode, I talk about on social media for about 2 weeks. Let's say sporadically for 2 weeks, and then it's still gonna be on social media. Like even like once like so let's say I stop doing the show completely and I just kind of close up shop, the account is still active. It's still gonna be there. So in some crazy scenario or just some crazy like what if, do you ever like how much consideration do you bring in when it comes to your kids and like the parents
a
that interact with
lot,
their kids? Okay.
a lot. For me, I'm raising two little girls, right? So if I post a nude picture, and someone does hit that, oh, this picture contains nudity or something like that, there is something that my kids are gonna probably come across, or family members. But to me, anybody that does anything like that, it crosses their mind, right? It crosses my
Mm-hmm.
mind. But it depends on how you explain it to your kids. So I've thought about it, especially with the last photo shoot I did. It was a fitness, like this was really me stepping out of my comfort zone, really being like, I'm confident in my body. I finally made it somewhere. And it was a pretty, I wasn't completely nude, but it was a pretty explicit photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have to think about that, when that photographer goes and he posts that photo, or when I go and post that photo. But to me, the only thing I have to explain to my kids was that I felt confident enough to represent who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So if my daughter, if you see my daughter, she wears sports bras all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and because that's what I wear, right? I wear sports bras. I work out all the time. So to her, in her head, shorts and leggings and sports bras, that's what you wear. And I get a lot of dirty looks for it, but to me, I'm showing her that her body is her body.
Mm-hmm.
She gets to decide how she wants to represent it. She gets to decide on how confident she wants to be in that body. And then to me, that is so important. That is way more important than trying to figure out if your dad's sister's uncle's baby mom's twice removed brother is going to tell me that I'm not raising my kid right.
Mm-hmm.
So, things like that, they are going to be on there forever. And I think about it, but it just all depends on how you explain it to other people and how you perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, someone could tell my daughter, "Oh my God, is that your mom?" And what is she going to respond with? She's going to respond with exactly what I said. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
my mom worked hard. Like, she's showing her body because she's proud of her body. She's comfortable in her body.
Yeah,
So,
and you're the role model. So you're I always think about this as like I'm building like when you build a house, it's like you're the foundation, And then as they grow
Right.
up, obviously the structures get put up at the walls and all that. And then the roof is just when they turn 21 or 18 and they're out the door. So the house is built.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
not to put too much future thoughts into your head, but
My daughter promises she's gonna buy me my dream car when she turns 18. So I'm hoping that that's, fingers crossed.
do you see any kind of athletic talent so far? Because I know like when all these college players go out to the NFL, for example, football, they're like the first things they do is like, oh, I'm gonna buy my mom a car, I'm gonna buy my dad a house or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you see any
Yeah.
like athletic talent in your kids yet?
With my daughter, my 6-year-old, Amaris, yes. My 2-year-old, she's kind of like I just want to chill and eat food and not really like, I always say she's my boy. She
Mm-hmm.
likes to lick things off the ground. She's super aggressive. Um, just wants to run and jump and hit everything, and she wants to wrestle you. My 6-year-old, she just ran her first 5K in LA. She was training with Jordan Charles when we were
Mm-hmm.
back in Washington for gymnastics. And right now she does boxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling. So there's
What?
not, yeah, there's not one given talent of that little girl. She does, whatever, and she excels in it. It's not that she just goes there because I'm her mom and I'm making her do it. She goes and she like excels. And I'm talking like she ran her 5K in 35 minutes. Like
Wow.
yeah, when she wants something, she goes out and she does it. So that's my athletic baby girl for sure.
Now, you're in Arizona, warm weather almost in 98% of the time. I'm sure maybe like
Yeah.
a couple times it's kind of crappy. Do you think that helps you stay active outside? Because I know for myself, it's raining outside and or cold or dark. I'm like, I'm good. I'm just gonna do it in the afternoon, and then I get home from work and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot. Oh darn.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, with the sunshine, I feel like it's helped my mental state a lot better.
Hmm.
And that could be two things, it could be the sunshine and the people here, or it could be the fact that I'm physically active. So that in general just makes me a lot happier.
Hmm.
But I definitely feel a difference. Like if you talk to anybody that knew me 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even last year, they'll tell you probably in this last year, like, and for myself, I've seen the most growth within myself personally, mentally, physically, emotionally, even as a mother. And like I said, it could be the sunshine because it's always warm here, it's always sunny.
Yeah.
um, or it could just be that I'm taking care of myself and I'm happy and I'm staying busy. And,
Hmm.
I work from home. So I am in the house from 8 to 5.
Mm.
And so I work out on my lunch and then I go and I pick up my daughter and then we work out together. And so it's definitely has a lot to do with the sunshine. So, I feel sorry for you guys back home because I see the weather and I'm like, I have nope, no wish, no desire to go back home at all. I always tell my friends like, come visit me. Like, I don't want to come visit you. You come visit me.
I just had a friend who today actually he moved to Austin. He's gonna be there for a couple months, and then he's like, "You should just come visit me. It's warm. It's not Oregon. It's
Yes.
warm." I'm like, "All right, okay, I get the point." But
I feel like that's all we have to say. It's not the Northwest. Come here. Like, it's not raining. Come here.
yeah, so like again, going back to your social media feed, like seeing you working out with your daughter, I know that for me, I mean, this is okay. When I was single, I'm in a relationship now. So when I was single, I just remember like, oh, I want to try to find a girl that or a woman that wants to work out as much as I do, and want to be as fit as I or have the same kind of mindset when it comes to like eating healthy. Now, I've gained a little weight since obviously I think. Okay, so first off, what are your thoughts when it comes to like gaining the relationship weight? I always think about like that Channing Tatum photo of like him a little bit bigger, like oh, in a relationship, him like Magic Mike scene single. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know you went through a body transformation yourself.
I did. I did. I feel like when you get in a relationship, it doesn't matter who it's with. you enter that comfort, right?
Hmm.
You don't necessarily want to be apart from each other. But honestly, if you don't meet in the gym, the last thing you want to do is go sweat in a gym together. Like, if that's, and that's just being honest, right? You don't want to be
Yeah.
like, okay, hey, baby, you hit that treadmill and I'm going to hit this squat machine way over there and I'll watch you from afar. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound fun, right?
Yeah.
You just want to be like, hey, what is that? Netflix and chill, let's just go
Yeah.
Netflix and chill. So
Yeah.
I was with the girl's dad for uh 10, 11 years. So I definitely, long time, definitely went through that. I mean, he was always lean. He was always, that's another topic, he was always stayed in shape, but I was like, I gained the weight for the both of us because I didn't want to leave his side. I would
Uh-huh.
rather eat, a whole entire pizza. Like, a treadmill? What? No, I don't want to go on a treadmill. So it's definitely, I always say, it just means you guys are eating really good.
Right? Again, when you're single or when I was single, it's so easy for me to be like, I'm gonna say no to like a burger from Shake Shack and said I'm gonna have like a lettuce wrap from Killer Burger where it's like, less carbs and whatnot.
Right.
I mean, with her, I feel like I'm a little more lenient when it comes to like my food choices because it's like, oh, I'm so headstrong. Like, because I'm considering, I want to make sure she enjoys the food too. It's like, well, Shake Shack is great. Let's also combine it with like a walk around the block or, go walk in the mall or something like that. So that's the way we're kind of finding some sort of balance there.
I think also when you're single, I feel like you care more, right? You're
Mm,
single, so you want the attention of more people. You care about how you look. When you're in a relationship, like, you don't bat eyes twice at somebody else. You could, well, hopefully your significant other would tell you, but you could not brush your teeth for a week, and the only person that matters is that person that's going to wake up to you. The person walking down the street, you could blow in their face and they could tell you it stinks, and you'd be like, well, my girl likes it, so it don't matter. So it comes to that too. When you're in a
yeah.
relationship, your comfort level changes, which is, I mean, it happens to everybody. It's comfort weight.
Hmm.
It's, that person loves you for you, whether you're, I mean, you're not 700 pounds, but whether you're 700 pounds or, you're 95 pounds, your significant person's going to care for you.
Black is very slimming, so that's why it
Right?
is.
I was going to say, you don't look like you gained very much weight, but, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, at the beginning, I've told her like, "Oh, fitness is important to me. I want to make sure like that's still upkept during the relationship because I do want to avoid gaining more weight than I really want to." Like, and I got to that point where I was like, "Okay, all right, probably need to put down the ice cream or switch to vegan ice cream or try low dairy options." So I'm slowly implementing that. But yeah, I got to a point where I was like, "Okay, I didn't feel great about myself." Then I started working out. I started being a little more disciplined. We pair up. We're going back to the gym date idea you had. She does her Zumba at 6:30, and I'm working out with cardio and weights for an hour. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's a version of a date night that we're both happy at
Which,
the end of the day.
yeah, exactly. But I feel like if that only works if you guys live together.
No.
No, I feel like things like that only work if you guys see each other enough. Because if
Mm,
you guys don't see each other enough, then what is it? Like, you don't want to spend an hour doing, unless that's what you truly like doing. Like, I would pretend that, yeah, I either like Zumba or I would pretend to like weight so I could just be in your presence, because, oh, this is our only hour together for the next 3 days. Well, I'm
mhm.
gonna smile and cry when I get home, So
Ah,
so it could be that.
true,
And then
true.
even then, it's, I always tell people, I have recently is when a lot of people started seeing like my results and my transformation, and not saying a lot, right? Like, I didn't lose like 100 pounds. I didn't I didn't
Hmm.
like lose a lot of weight, but it's how you carry yourself. And I always tell people, the only thing that like I really started doing was like, you just have to do it.
Hmm.
You literally just have to. It doesn't matter if you walk from your house to the mailbox. It doesn't matter if you decide to eat lettuce on your burger instead of a bun. Like, I don't, I'm probably the worst person to say this, but like, I don't do the whole fad dieting
Sure,
thing.
sure.
Like, I don't diet. the moment you tell me I did for my photo shoot and it was like the worst week ever, but like I don't regularly diet. I don't, the moment you tell me, okay, Christiana, you are going to eat 1,300 calories, so many, you know, macros, all these, then like the moment I'm like, oh my God, that Snicker bar sounds so good. Oh my God, that cheesecake and
Yeah.
that hamburger with double patty, extra pickles, double the ketchup, like that's when all that food starts to sound good, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the moment you say you can't have it is the moment you're like I don't even like chocolate. I don't even like candy. But the moment you're like, all right, Christiana, we're gonna diet, I'm like, that whole candy aisle looks so good. So I always start off everybody saying like, don't diet, don't do it. Drink water, flush out your body, and then decide, hey, I'm gonna walk for 10 minutes, or I'm gonna eat lettuce instead of buns, or you know, I'm gonna cut out soda, or something that you know that you can go without. Like Abdul, even when Abdul cuts weight for his fights, I like minimize what he eats. I don't cut out everything until like it's like fight, like 24 hours till the fight. And then obviously he can't have anything. But like even a lot of these fighters, yeah, they diet, but they eat cleaner. It's the whole eating cleaner. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have chicken, but don't go home and soak your chicken in like, you know, butter and half the container of salt. Cause then it's like you might as well had a burger at that point.
Fair, but hear me
Yes.
out here. No, I'm kidding.
You're like, I had that for dinner tonight, actually.
So you mentioned in the start of our conversation that you were shy growing up, and then you were
Yeah.
shy most of middle school, high school. Did we meet in middle school, by the way, or was it high school we met? I went to Cedar Park.
Yeah, I think we met in middle school
Yeah.
because I was in Cedar Park. Yeah, 6th through 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Cedar Park High School, you're very shy, but you were always one of those like, I one of those like I kind of look at the faces, and then that's how I remember the people, the faces. So like your face, like I remember seeing you sporadically here or there going to class or whatnot. So I never really saw you kind of sitting at a table by yourself, kind of like being with yourself. So when it came to me and Abdul, who is the UFC fighter, he does all these things for fitness. How was that kind of, I don't want to say courtship, or just the beginnings of the relationship? Because
Yeah.
automatically, like that's like saying, oh, I'm gonna start dating like someone with the fitness level of like Dwayne Johnson. Oh my god, that sounds terrifying.
It really sounds really scary, especially when you think about size wise and you. I'm like, at first it was really different. Even to this day, we're the complete opposite. He has never tried a drug in his life. He has never drank an ounce of alcohol. You know, the worst that man puts into his body is energy drinks. He's the complete opposite, right? And we met like the hardest. Like I was going through a really hard time. We were clubbing, actually, is what it was, and it was different, right? Because in high school, I had a lot going on, and so I was super insecure. Didn't, like I said, kind of like you said, you saw me here and there. I never ate alone. Never, thankfully, never.
Oh,
Are you there?
yeah. Your video is popping
Oh,
up. It's lagging a little bit. Okay, I think we're good.
okay. And so I never ate in the bathroom alone. I never did any of that, but I never really had friends. I never really hung out outside of school. I kind of just really kept to myself because of, the personal things that I was going through at the time. So when Abdul approached me, I was just like, I knew who he was. I've seen him around. I knew his story already. Didn't want nothing to do with him. I was like, I'm good. Like, I have enough going on in my life. Like, I don't need another story to tell. Like, I'm good. And then he was mutual friends with one of my girlfriends, and she was like, no, he's a really good guy. And I'm like, yeah, he may be a good guy, but I'm a really quiet person, and I'm not really interested. And one night my car broke down, and he came to the rescue, and we kind of started talking and started a relationship, and we still don't have anything in common, but opposites attract. But that kind of is what made us work. in the
Mm-hmm.
fight world because I left all of the I left it all to him, right? I
Mm-hmm.
left all of the pictures with the fans, all of the workouts, all of the cardio. I left all of the press conferences, all of that. I left to him. And to me, that was perfect, right? Because I didn't have to do the dirty work. I didn't have to worry about like what I look like. I didn't have to worry about anything. And I'm not gonna lie, like when he first started, I was really insecure. I wasn't necessarily really overweight, but I was really insecure. I did have some weight on me, and here he was like so lean and mean and just ready to take on the world. And he's hugging all these ring girls that are, kind of like I am now. They're half naked and they're going through all these things and they're taking pictures and it's publicized all over the internet and then it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna stand in the background and da 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 and just say cheese. Yep, I'm his girlfriend or I'm his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I started being like, yeah, that's my man. Like, no, he wants the attention. I don't want any of the attention. I will do all of the dirty work. I will do the meal prep, the cooking. I will, I'll watch you practice at the time, but I'm not gonna train, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure you're doing these moves right, or I'll watch this, this fighter and we'll categorize it with you and see what you can change.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so different. It still is like it's hard because even his mom will ask like why like how and I'm like I just opposites attract. I think it really just works out that way
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like the attention. I don't, which you would never know, right? I you wouldn't know by my social media, but I don't like putting myself out there. If someone wants to come to me and they want to know something, then I'm very open. I will tell my
Mm-hmm.
story. I will inspire everybody and kind of put in a little bit of like my friend's business, but I'm not gonna name her. She was going through a really hard time, and my sister was going through a hard time, and they asked me, I went through a hard time. I was very, Abdul and I, we are not together anymore. So that took a really big toll on me. Um, Nothing happened, no foul play. We just grew apart. He was focusing on one thing and I was focusing on another. But I did get really, really depressed and I had to pull myself out and nothing against anybody with depression, nothing against anybody on medication, but that
Mm-hmm.
was not how I wanted to live my life. I did go see a doctor. They did, diagnose me with depression. They did give me medication and when they gave me that medication, I was like, this is not this is not what I want. I don't want to have to rely on this little pill to be happy with my daughters. I don't want to rely on something that if I stop taking it, the outcome could be worse. And so I turned. That was like my turning point.
Mm-hmm. Now, so real quick, but no, so there was, you getting involved with Abdul, and then with him in the
Mm-hmm.
limelight. Did you ever watch the movie? She's out of my league, I believe. It's
What's the
like
outline, the story plot?
it's basically like this kind of nerdy flight attendant or flight TSA agent. He encounters this beautiful model that was very well uh, public eyed model, and she forgot her phone, so he's returning the phone to her, and then they start a relationship, and so it's like he
Sorry, it's my
basically
daughter.
hi. So uh he's kind of like, there's one scene that when you were saying that, it made me think where they're at the red carpet, and then he's standing next to her because obviously about to get their photo taken, and all these paparazzi like, sir, can you sit up in the background? And then she's like, I'm sorry, this is how it is. But I imagine, while you do like the shyness, it it does feel weird. No, I mean, again, I can't imagine. I've never been involved with a UFC fighter, so uh, I can't imagine. Like, did you feel any kind of like, I mean, some sort of, I
Like
don't know,
left behind.
left behind. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Or like I need to
I
do something to like also keep myself from because there's so many UFC fighters or like celebrity like couples that are like they're both doing something great.
Keoni Chats is proudly sponsored by Adelsheim Vineyards. Adelsheim is a winery located in Newberg, Oregon since 1971, and they were founded by David and Ginny Adelsheim. Now, Adelsheim has partnered with Growing Garden, One Barrel, and the Portland Trailblazers, and now the Keoni Chats podcast show. So I'm just beyond the moon to announce this. So when you go to adelsheim.com, ADELSHEIM.com, and then you start creating a cart. So maybe you want some rosé, maybe you want some Chardonnay, maybe you want a Pinot Noir, maybe you want something from their merchandise section. So before you check out, use the discount code Grand Crew, so GRANDCRU, for 20% off your total purchase. That is just having someone to believe in the show and give us this opportunity for fans across the world to try some of the products. I can't say thank you enough to Adelsheim for this opportunity. So you get 20% off when you use the discount code Grand Crew, so GRANDCRU, and that is a wine term across the whole wine community. So Google that if you want to find out what that means. So you must be 21 years and older to purchase any alcohol from Adelsheim, but if you just want to purchase some merchandise, that is perfectly fine. And everyone, please enjoy responsibly.
Definitely that was really hard. But I think that if you talk to really any UFC fighter and any fighter's wife, really, they don't even have to be in the UFC. It could just be anybody that is supporting their significant other in the fight world who doesn't fight, right? And it's different. Okay, so earlier we were talking about Paige Van Zant. No, it's different like Paige Van Zant and Austin Vanderford because they're both in the sports together, right? Maria Henderson, Ben Henderson, they train together, and that's what it is. So they both get the limelight of, hey, let's build this empire together. Let's build everything together. And for me, it wasn't like that. And so I did feel left behind a lot. And I think that if you're not from the fight world, if any, I've been doing it a long time. If you're not involved in and you don't know and you look at it from the outside, you think, and I got this a lot, like, wow, like, oh, poor her. She's at home while he's at the after party, or poor her, like she has to be home with the kids. And that realistically, that's absolutely how it is. But I guess that comes into play to where you really have to stand your ground. Excuse me. And you kind of have to find your own worth, right?
Yeah.
And with him, it took some time, definitely took some time. But this recent fight that he had was when I really was like, despite our differences, despite our divorce, despite everything that we're going through, I still stuck through and I meal prepped for him and I cooked for him and I made sure he made weight and I brought the girls to his fight. The girls got to see their dad fight for the first time. And I was able to do all that. So even though I wasn't in the limelight, even though I wasn't the one bringing home that check or taking the pictures or doing the autographs, I was able to stand up and be like, you know what? He did this because of me. Like I got him here. I, did that weight cut. And so it's hard. It's very, very hard. And I went through, it's kind of a touchy subject because I went through a lot of that. I didn't feel important. I didn't feel like an asset because I wasn't in there boxing with him or rolling with him. I wasn't doing any of that. So he got the stardom all the time. And it's like, I just got left back. Wow. I wasn't taking pictures with him after he won. I was the one taking the pictures of him and the fans or, of him coming out of the cage. I didn't get to do all of that. So yes, it was like I was left behind. And I kind of think that you have to stand your ground, right? And you have to be like, I mean, I'm not saying he's great because of me, but I'm saying I definitely helped him get to where he is. despite feeling left behind and like forgotten or not acknowledged, I guess would be the perfect word. Is you're not acknowledged for all your hard work. That's like, when you go and you give back and you buy something for someone and then you don't tell them that it was you do it because you want to, but at the end of the day, you may pat your shoulder, but you want someone else to pat your shoulder too.
Did you have any siblings growing up?
I did, 6 sisters.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
like, where do you rank in that hierarchy?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Mhm.
So in the for again people fans of the show, they know that I sent a topic sheet of items I want to cover with you leading up to the interview. You sent me a message. Now, with your blessing, I'd like to read just a sentence from that message.
Mhm.
So you said that your mom is locked up with an emoji. Dad left when I was 6 when grandparents raised me, but my grandpa died of cancer and my grandma left in Nebraska. Oh, what? Oh, so with you being the oldest, how much of you having to step out of the role of being one of the kids to start being an adult, how quick was that transition for you, just to make sure everyone can, my brother did that for me when my parents had some issues.
Yeah.
How quick was that for you, and how was it? Because 6.
Yeah. It's kind of a little tougher, and we would have to do like 6, probably like 100 podcasts to even like start up. But stepping out of my role as a kid, it wasn't hard to do. My mom is incarcerated. She's in there for a good probably 10 years due to drug use. So that didn't just start. That had been going on ever since I was little. Throughout school, throughout everything. It wasn't this will be so feel special. This will be my first time really coming out as a white person. But at 6 years old, I took care of my sisters. There was 4 of them at the time. And I was 6 years old trying to learn how to cook because my mom was so high on drugs that she was letting people in and out of the house. They were breaking into our bedrooms. So my sisters and I spent a lot of time. I locked my sisters in the room a lot of the time, so that they didn't see anything. So my sisters don't have a very good recollection of anything that really happened during that time period. I've always been the mother figure. Going into my grandparents' custody, it was one day my mom it was just too much, and I actually jumped out of my bedroom window and I hurt myself pretty bad. And I was 6 years old and I ran to my grandma's house, who was like right down the road. And, that was when I started secretly, I didn't want my mom in trouble, right? That's my mom. So I would pack like outfits for the night and I would just go spend the night at my grandma's house. And it would just be like, what are 2 outfits? What are 2 outfits? And then one day my grandma went to go get something out of her drawer and she realized her clothes weren't in her dresser. It was all of my clothes. So she asked me what happened, told her. My grandma actually packed me up and we moved the next day. And that was our move to Beaverton. 2 days later, my mom ended up blowing up my sister's bedroom because she was cooking drugs. So it was like the state called my grandma, hey, you have to come get these kids or they will go into foster care and they will all be split up. Whoa. So my grandma just said, what is she can't say no. So she took us all into custody, took care of us, raised us. Dad's not a very good person, left very young, cultural differences, different cultural beliefs. There was a lot that happened. And so he just kind of just took off. So I never really stepped into that sister role. I kind of always placed that way. As my sisters got older, actually right in the middle of high school, sophomore year was probably my hardest year. I left home and I left all my sisters and moved out on my own. Older boyfriend at the time, not the greatest person ever. And I moved away. So my sisters, they resented me because I left them behind.
Mm.
And so for a long time, we did not talk. None of us talked to each other until probably 3 years ago. And 3 years ago is when, you know, everything started happening. And out of six of us, I am the only person that talks to every single one of them. They do not talk to each other. So the move to Arizona, my grandma moving to Nebraska, my mom being incarcerated, my grandpa dying, it's been a lot because instead of, having to make that one phone call to talk to one sister, I have all of them calling me, and then I'll have to be like, oh, hey, just a second, because so and so's calling me on the other line. And then I get one sister that's like, you're gonna hang up on the phone with me so you can go talk to her. And I'm like, I'm one person. Like, so I never stepped out of, I never got to be a kid. So, which is one of the reasons my daughter does so many sports. I feel like as a mother, I should be able to let my child be a kid. And if she wants to be a tightrope jumper, I'm going to find the best tightrope jumper, academy, and let her do it. So my sisters, they're a big part of my life now. They always have been. But, you have to grow. You have a lot of maturity. You have to hit. And I think at, some point, they will all talk again. But as of right now, it's telephone all towards me, and then me not give out each other's business all towards them. And my mom being incarcerated is a little harder. She's always been in jail, in and out, but this time she did a good number this time, so she's gone for a little while.
Have you talked to her recently, or like, do you want to talk to her? And
I do. I truly believe in it's gotten me in a lot of trouble. I believe everybody changes. I cannot force you to change. You have to change on your own. But I believe that there is a part of people that want to change. And my mom, she was clean for 12 years. 12 years. And it took a boy, and I say a boy because it took a boy 21 years old to catch my mom's attention and to woo her while she was married. Like
21.
it took
21.
21. And my mom's she's not very old, but my mom is older, probably like, I want to say my mom is only 45 or 46. She had me very young, very young.
Yeah.
So I do talk to my mom. She'll call me here and there. My kids are another topic. I will let her say hi to them here and there, but they don't associate with her very much. And it's not because I'm hiding that lifestyle from my kids. It's because I don't want them to know that kind of life is okay. I don't want them to know that it's acceptable. Amara, she's very smart, very advanced for her age. So she knows about adoption. She knows about foster care. She knows about people being homeless and that being their choice. She knows all of these things. But I don't want her to know that it's okay to do this kind of thing, and that people will be there to support you. Now, I don't put money on my mom's books. I don't support her in any way because I feel like my mom has done this so many times that there is no reason why I should condone it. And I feel like if I put money on her books or anything like that, then I'm condoning her. I'm supporting the decision she made. And I'm not doing that. So her husband does that occasionally, and she'll call me. But it's not something that I take out of my time to tell her. It's not, if she calls and I'm not busy, I'll answer. But it's not, it's more of like, hey, are you breathing? Awesome. I'm doing my due diligence as a person. And she is my mom. I always say she's my birth giver because I feel like mom and mother, that holds such a high title that she didn't follow through with.
Also very nurturing kind of sense to it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And she doesn't have that. My grandma says she doesn't have that motherly instinct, right? She in high school, she wanted to be my best friend. She wanted to throw me parties. She wanted to do all these things, and that's not what I wanted as a person. That was not what my mom should be doing. I took care of my mom, and in high school, I was going to school. You saw me, I was there, but I was also working because I was supporting her and her drug habits and those type of things. And I wanted to live with her my senior year of high school so I could finish because my grandma moved out of the city. And it was the worst year of my life. Thankfully, it was my senior year, so it balanced out. But it being with her, it was just like bad influence after bad influence, but after bad influence. So in a way, Abdul was like my savior, right? He was like, just because that's your mom does not mean that you have to run the streets like her. It does not mean that you have to, you know, join a gang. It doesn't mean that you even have to have that lifestyle. Now, obviously, if you ask my sisters, they're all going to tell you a different point of story, a different story, because surprisingly, out of the six of us, we have all lived different lives. Like you, like you know, there's me and I'm in Arizona and I'm into fitness. And then there's my, you know, the one underneath me, and she's in Beaverton, and she works for a law firm, and she's raising her daughter. And then you go, you know, to my other sister who she has a wife and a kid, and she works for a car shop. And then you go to my younger sister, and God, my younger sister, let me tell you, she stuck around with my mom the longest. She actually ran the streets with my mom.
Oh.
And she has a lot of bad memories, and she will never ever talk to my mom again because of things she went through. And you know, she makes almost 80K a year for working for the company that she makes, with 2 kids and a husband. And then I have my 2 baby sisters, and they're not babies, but you know, they're my babies.
They're going to be
And,
babies
you know,
no matter what.
yes, yeah, you know, they're 19 and 18, and I mean, they're learning about life. I mean, they're 18 and 19, but it's so crazy because you can't let, and this is what I've learned, you can't let that define you. And I've struggled with it, and to this day I still struggle. I don't talk about my family a lot, because if I sit there and I say, hey, you know, or someone's like, hey, you want to grab lunch? Like, what's your story? I don't want to be like, oh, you know, I was adopted and my mom used to be a gangbanger and she's incarcerated and she does all these things. Because then what do? You judge me. You don't get to know me. You're like, oh my God, this girl's gonna kick my ass if I say something wrong, or oh
No,
my
you
God,
say
like,
you
I'm
want
so
my
scared.
you say you want to know my story. Listen to Keoni Chats. Have a podcast episode.
Yes.
Plug,
Yes.
baby.
See? Yes. Now it's out there. Now it's perfect. And so that was really, when you reached out to me, I was like, oh my God, this is my chance to, you know, really get everything out there and really, are you sorry? And are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And really just let people know that, you know, if I could tell, like, if a million people watched your podcast and I could give any advice, it'd be keep going, and nothing defines you. You don't let anything define you, because that's going to set you back in life. And, you know, it really, I take things really personal sometimes, especially when somebody is like, you know, and everyone battles their struggles differently, but I've been through a lot, and I've maybe hit like a quarter of what I've been through just talking to you. And so when someone's like, I want to commit suicide because somebody called me ugly, I'm just like, maybe you should seek some counseling. Or, you know, I cut myself because my boyfriend broke up with me. It's like I said, you know, people handle things differently.
It's
but
that jumping from a drastic reaction on
yes,
something that you're going to be fine, you know, 2-3 weeks later.
correct. And it's like, I just want to be like, here, you know, let me tell you my life story so that you can feel better about yourself. Because the reality is and even my story, like, it's hard to hear, it's hard to believe, it's hard that I'm still walking, it's hard that I don't have no physical scars, right? But at the end of the day, it just, life is hard, and it's all how you take it. And I don't believe in, and I shouldn't say I don't believe, because I went through it, I experienced it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's such a touchy subject, because I feel like you can create so many haters, right? By simply being like, you're pissed off because that's not even close to what life could be. Or even for me, you know, people have witnessed their families get murdered, or worse, they've been through worse, you know, and that's not the way to look at life, as there's worse out there. But I feel like everybody goes through their own struggles. And if you let it define you, it's going to ruin your life. If you stand there and you say, yeah, I've been through it. I don't take anything like my divorce, my bad relationships, high school, middle school, what my mom has done. I'll acknowledge it all and I'll tell you, yep, that's exactly what happened. And yep, I will tell you that is why I am the way I am. And I will tell you, yeah, I went through counseling, but look, now I'm able to talk about it. And so I was like, when you reached out,
you broke
I was
out of
like,
that shyness. You broke out of it.
yes. Yeah. And then when you reached out, I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. And that's why, I wanted to let you know that like, I'm an open book. I'm not hiding anything. If there's nothing is too personal, I don't, maybe like 5 years ago, if you would have said something, I would have been like, not really there yet to really tell my story. But going back to, my friend reached out and she was going through a really depressive time and I pulled her out and it was just like the best feeling, it was such a good feeling to know that I was able to do that. Or, you know, on the topic sheet, we were talking about to learn to love, right? So this woman, she's a phenomenal woman. She's a single mom. She went through a pretty bad abusive relationship, and the whole point of her clothing company is to make you feel comfortable in yourself, to reach out to other women and let them know that, if you learn to love yourself, you learn to love your experiences and everything that you've been through, then you get to become a different person. And so when I was reading her story, I actually was reached out to her, and originally I was like, hey, I just want to buy a few workout things. Like, I'm not ready to show off my body yet. So what do you have? And she sent me a pair of leggings, and I bought this top. And then the next thing I knew, she sent me, like all of the colors, and people were standing behind me about it. And then she launched her swimsuit line, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to support you 100%. And that's when I decided that's what I wanted to do. I love Shein, I love Gymshark, I love all the big workout companies, but that's really when I decided that I really wanted to help empower other women. And it doesn't even have to be women, it could be men. But I really, really wanted just to help, just inspire anybody that was struggling. I wanted to support. If you had $100 shirt, I might kind of be like, $100 for a shirt is kind of spendy, but like
$20 max, $20 max,
right? Like, I don't know, that's kind of pushing it, but like, I'll buy it because I want to support you. I want you to chase those dreams too. And I don't know if you know this, but that was our big move to Arizona. We have no family out here. We have no friends. Abdul had a really big opportunity to train at the lab, and he came down here and the coach was like, I believe in you. I just really need you to give me your full effort. Came down here and he started training with the best. He trains with Jared Cadmier, the Sugar Show, O'Malley, Courtney. She's Cast Iron Courtney. I'm trying to think of everybody at the top of my head, all the Mario Batista, Kyler Phillips, Casey Kenny, all of the top now up and coming UFC fighters, he's there. And so for me, I was like, shoot, let's, we had a perfect dream house. It was life. And I was like, you know what, let's sell it. Let's sell it and let's chase that dream. Let's do it. Let's make a name for ourselves. And we sold our house within 24 hours, packed up everything, and we left. That was our big move. We, over time, we've come across some friends, still very minimal. We've only been here about a year, but even with the divorce, because the divorce happened while we were in Arizona, so it's fairly new. I was able to become my own person, and I wasn't walking in the shadows of somebody else. I was me. I wasn't, oh, that's Abdul's wife, or that's, Abdul's kid's baby mom, or hey, that's that fighter's wife. So it really helped for that.
Real quick for everyone listening or watching, Kristiana seems like she's next to a shipping center for her apartment, so she's got like FedEx guy is coming back and forth. So if you're hearing beeping and you're hearing people talking background, so just So
You have a good eye.
yeah, I could see kind of the crack. People, so I appreciate you're trying to position the camera right there. So you said something earlier where like if I can get like 1,000 views or a million views, I'll be like, holy crap, my heart is stopping. But
That's the goal.
if there's let's shrink that down a little bit. If there's one overarching message you can spread to your six sisters, which by the way, you put that you have six sisters. I was just shocked after reading that first couple sentences, so I didn't finish. So that was on me. If there's one message you can send to all six your sisters that are, let's say they're all listening, they're all tuned in, what is something you want to tell all of them? That like just off the top of your head, or what you feel.
Life is too short and people change. And then that's really the reality of it, whether it's my sisters or my close friends or anybody struggling through anything. It's the life is way too short, and whether you believe in COVID or don't believe in COVID, people are dying left and right, whether it's a shooting or a sickness or an underlying disease or anything like that. That's the reality of it. And people do change. You can't change the people, but people do change if they really want to.
Yeah, I went to therapy for a little bit, then stopped, but now getting back into it. I definitely my kind of one of my main like goals out of the whole experience again is to work on certain aspects of myself. It's one
Mhm.
I'm working on right now. It's like my time management and also like the connectivity I want to reestablish with people I've met throughout my life. So, my previous interview, or no, my previous 3 interviews ago, I interviewed one of our classmates, EJ Atkins,
Mhm.
and as I'm working on the episode and the time of this recording, I was just like, I could tell that I wasn't like, just the way he was like in front of the camera telling a story, and me starting to think about why am I not doing this either. So I started like getting harder and harder on myself throughout the whole interview. And I could see it visibly in my posture. So then that made me want to grow. So it's like it's never too late to like try to
Absolutely.
rework the wheel, because sometimes I know when I finished therapy, I was like, I'm good. I'm good. It's like not even close to good.
I always feel like therapy is hit and miss, right?
Mhm.
It helps you because you get an outsider's perspective on everything that you're going through. But then when you listen to it coming out of your mouth is
Mhm.
when like reality really hits you, because it's different. And a lot of therapists, they'll tell you, write in a book. And I can write in a book, but it's going to sound just as good in my head as it is when I'm writing it out, right? It
Yeah.
makes sense. But
Oh
when you
yeah.
say
Yeah.
it out loud, you're like, ew, like what? That ew, like that's what I was processing. So I think
Yeah.
therapy is really good, and it helps you understand your thoughts a little bit better.
Yeah.
Um, but once you understand your thoughts, it's up to you to really put that into action.
Yeah, because I can have the thought of like, I want a sandwich, and then the like adjacent thought coming to the right is like, what kind of bread? And the other one to the left, what kind of meat? And then other kind of like condiments, blah 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 blah. Do you want chips on the side? Do you want fries? So it's the message I'm trying to send out is like, I still want a sandwich, but it just gets filled with so many
Right.
things. So that's something that worked on at the last session. It's like, it's like I want to tell you the feeling of like, I want you to get a vaccine. And then I start bringing in, it makes my mom upset because like my grandma, she's unvaccinated at the time of recording. So it's
Right.
like, I want you to get a vaccine because it makes my mom upset. I want you to get a vaccine so I can do this, this, this. And therapist said, what do you want to tell your grandma?
Right.
I was like, holy shit. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that crazy? Isn't that crazy when you think about all of that, right? Because in that time, it's like, and for me, I have anxiety so bad. I'm like, oh my God, okay. So kind of like you, right? My daughter's like, okay, she wears uniform. She goes to a charter school. She's
Hmm.
like, Mom, I don't want to wear a skirt. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, she doesn't want to wear a skirt. So what is she gonna wear? I didn't clean her other skirts. What top is she gonna wear? Versus just being like, well, how about you just wear a different color skirt? Or how about you put on these jeans? It's like you think of a million different things that could happen, and then it causes you to have an anxiety attack. And then I mean, maybe not even attack, but it increases your anxiety. And then you're like, oh my God, you're sweating. And then you probably stink by that time, you know? And then once you take a deep breath and you're like, wait, now I can make a decision because now I'm calm. And
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot of that. And then I still struggle
Yeah.
with it. Like, even coming onto this podcast, I'm like, okay, stay on topic, stay on topic, stay on topic. And then it was like, and then it's like, okay, back on topic.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just really how you handle it. And I
Yeah.
think that you have a good grasp on it. And I admire so much what you're doing, because I think that this is big. And reaching back out to, our high school classmates, I think that was a brilliant idea. Honestly, I truly do.
I will kind of give, but kind of don't give credit to my dad for that idea, because he's like, "Oh, you should focus on Sunset and what they're like a update on what they're doing." I was like, I don't want to like put myself in a channel, I
Yeah.
want to like expand. Like, yes, I will talk to the people I graduated from. Yes, I'll talk to people that graduate 2 years ahead of us, but I also want to talk to, I don't know, this small business owner that has a print shop,
Yeah.
or this or that, because everyone has a story. And I want to, I mean, I had zero idea about any of this.
Yeah.
Oh my
I think that
God.
I hit it very well, which is also another reason I didn't have friends in school, because
Yeah.
you have friends, they have to know a part of your life. And I just was not. I was actually, all the way up into junior year, I was going through a lot of court stuff with childhood stuff, and I missed a lot of school my sophomore year into my junior year. And it was rough. It was rough, but I didn't want to be judged for it. And I already had no friends. So, maybe I was eating lunch with like 2, 3 people, but I really didn't want to be alone. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just kept everything to myself. And I mean, it sucks sometimes, when I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I'll see a lot of, people from high school, they all still hang out with each other. And I'm like, oh, that must be nice.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't have that click anymore. Like,
Yeah.
so
Some part of me was like, when I had that interview with EJ, I was like, okay, I mean, I'm slightly jealous that you're able to keep these relationships like intact.
right.
But then also part of me is like, I also am glad I went through college and adulthood up to that point where I can meet a plethora more people. Like, I feel like in high school, our worlds were in those walls of Sunset High School. That was our
Yes.
world. Well, at least when you're in school, because you're there for so long. Um,
Yeah.
but I just remember like, yeah, I think we talked a couple times, whether it was per class or just after class. So
Yeah.
um,
We exchanged some words. Yeah.
we exchanged some words.
We exchanged some words.
So this,
I think that Sunset too, not if you weren't born, I mean, even then, like Sunset was, I feel like, such a shunned school too. We
mhm,
had our own stuff going on in our school,
mhm.
so we weren't really concerned with what was going on outside of the school. Because let me tell you, when I met Abdul and he tells me some of his high school stories, I'm like, whew, Sunset, you're looking so good on this pedestal right now, and he'll tell me things about like his high school, and I'm like, they even allow that? Like, he had a child care in his high school because so many high schoolers were pregnant at the
Whoa,
time.
whoa,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
See, you didn't know that either. High school, I didn't
no,
even know high schools did that.
yeah.
And yeah.
But so all these events, all of these traumas that happened in your
Mhm.
life, when you started shutting down, I think, let's say, I mean, quick track over your timeline. So,
Mhm.
do this, and then you start shutting down a little bit, because I feel like I would just be exhausted. That I just, I put the effort, but then they can visibly see that like I'm tired. But when you kind of go through that stage, how much of it has carried from, obviously you cracked out your shyness, your anxieties, your kind of overthinkingness, your fears that you had in high school that still kind of was underlying but did grow a little bit. How has that been when you carry it over to your parenting?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I feel like it makes me a good mom because I know how I don't want my kids to be. but at the same time, I think that I'm so hard on myself when it comes to parenting. I think that in Amaris, and I talk about Amaris is my rainbow baby. Before her, I miscarried twins. So she is like my godsend, and I wanted everything to be perfect with her. And I didn't want to become my mom. I didn't want to be my sisters. I didn't want to be, I didn't know who I wanted to be. I knew that I just wanted to be a good mom. The little that I know, simply being a good mom was just being there for her. Um, so it pays off now that she's in school and I see it, but I was very hard on her. I was very like, no, you do your chores, you clean up, then you play. Or, 18 months potty train. She's 6 years old. She speaks Creole, sign language, English. She's a third grade math. She does all these things. And now it's willingly, but in the back of my head, I'm like, did she really have that choice? Right? Because I'm her mom. So I installed that schedule in her mind that that's just what we do. Um, I'm very paranoid, very, very paranoid. She, I walk her to school or I drive her to school. I pick her up. I go to all her birthday parties with her. I stay for all of her classes. And a lot of parents are probably that are going to watch this and be like, oh, well, she's 6 years old. You should do that. Like, but there's a lot of parents that just drop off their kids and they go because, they're in class or they're doing gymnastics or they're doing boxing and there's other adults around, or she doesn't have sleepovers. And if she does, then they're coming to our house and they're sleeping in the living room and I have eyes on them at all times. And she's 6 years old and I check her backpack and I watch what she's watching on her iPad. And so I am very overbearing for her. And she's used to that. My 2-year-old though, she tests my limits. I will tell you, she flinches at me. I don't know where she learned this. But like if I ask her to pick something up, I'll be like, Ariana, pick this up and bring it to mommy. And mind you not, she's 2 and she'll look at me and she'll be like, no. And I'll be like, you pick it up and bring it to me right now. And she'll like flinch. She'll be like, no, mommy, no. And I'll be like,
okay. So like the fake, kind of like maybe like the, when like kind of fake punch and just maybe like punch
yeah.
like that thing.
I'll be
Okay.
like,
Okay.
like, what? Who are you telling no to? Come here right now. And then, my oldest daughter, she's like little Missy. She's like, ooh, sissy, you in trouble. And I'm like, don't antagonize it. She's like, but mom, she did this. And Amara, she's so kind-hearted. Like that little girl, you look at her wrong and she's crying. She's me. She is me. She's just more emotional about it. She's like, mom, I don't understand. Like, and she'll bawl into tears. Mommy, why is this person homeless? Or mommy, why did that person be mean to me? And surprisingly, we experienced quite a bunch of racism with her. So she's very sensitive in that aspect of things too, very self-conscious about things. So back to like her wearing sports bras and stuff, I maybe overcompensate how comfortable she should be in her body because I want her to know that she's beautiful. I want her to know the color of her skin is beautiful. I want her to know her hair is beautiful and that her skin color doesn't define her. And it hurts me as a mom to have to, and this is probably a touchy subject, but it hurts me that my daughter is asking me about George Floyd or that she's asking me about Breonna Taylor. And I have to sit there and she's at that age to where she wants to watch the videos. She wants to understand like, oh, and she's identifying Abdul and she's identifying me and she doesn't like it, and how do you tell a 6-year-old that's just the way the world is right now? And it's up to you to be able to know that, if you want to run this world, if you want to be the president, that you can do it. It doesn't matter what color skin you are. And I was never that parent that bought like only white baby dolls or only black baby dolls for my child. My child was able to do whatever she wanted. So when another kid comes up to my daughter at 4 years old and tells her that, why do you look like that? Your skin is ugly. Or why does your hair look like that? Like, ew. Or my mommy and daddy says I can't play with your type. Like, you can't explain that to kids like that. So body positivity to me, like I take a little more sensitive, and I am overbearing as a mother. So my poor children, I already know,
Well,
you
you're
know.
embracing the title of a helicopter parent by, that's usually associated with a negative connotation. You're making it a positive one. There you go, Christiana.
Trying, yeah, trying so hard. And it's like us, right? You don't know what you're gonna walk into when you wait, when you walk outside.
Mhm.
You can't control what other people say to you. You can't. And back to the OnlyFans, you can't control if that next person is gonna hate you, but if they're gonna pay you, why not? For her, she can't control, who's gonna like her and who's not, but she can, damn well show them I got good grades and I beat you in this race, or I can knock you out in 2 punches, or I can submit you. Like,
Mhm.
and even in this school, and it has nothing to do with where we're located, right? Like even in
Mhm.
the school she's in now, she's in a charter school, #1 rated school in Arizona, third grade academics. She's a first grader. She's sweet. All the teachers you ask, she's so sensitive. So then why are boys, punching her in the stomach? Why are girls punching her in the face? And do you think my daughter, she knows how to fight back? Like when I get that phone call, I get scared, right? Because I'm like, my daughter could put your kid to sleep in 2 seconds, or like my daughter gives you a 1-2 combo and your kid's nose is broken. But my daughter, she doesn't do that.
Uh-huh.
Instead, she goes and she tells the kid, and my daughter snitches on herself. And she goes and she tells the kid, if you don't stop, I'm going to tell the teacher. So she goes and tells the teacher. The
Uh-huh.
teacher says, don't let it happen again. So then she tells the teacher, well, my mommy and daddy say, if you don't make him stop, I'm going to punch him back.
Mhm.
So she goes and she turns the corner, and then the little boy does it again. So what does my daughter do? She punches him back. And then I get the phone call, and it's like, well, did she tell you? Yeah, she told me. And then she told on herself, which kind of, I was aware of it. And I'm like, right. So she told on herself, but she was protecting, herself. But in my head, I'm thinking, please, you're lucky my daughter didn't break no nose.
Yeah.
Like, like no black eyes, still walking. And she'll tell you, Mom, it was like a love tap. I barely touched him. I was just trying to scare him. Like she'll tell on herself. And I think it's like the helicopter parent, right? Maybe when
Mhm.
she's older, she's going to sneak out. Maybe when she's older, she's not going to be as open. Maybe when she's in high school, she gets in a fight and she's not going to tell me what happens.
Mhm.
But as of now, at least I can tell her and show her this is the way we live life.
Mhm.
This is what we do. And I'm thankful. And earlier we talked about Paige Van Zant a few times, and I'm thankful for her because my daughter, she looks up to Paige so much. She loves her, and they've spent numerous hours together training. Abdul and her used to train together, and she would sit and she would do makeup with Amaris, and she would, tell Amaris how beautiful she was, and Paige Van Zant, she's a white girl, like she,
Mhm.
she's white, so it meant so much to me. Not that skin color matters, but it meant so much because Amara, she wants to have that long Barbie blonde hair. She wants to be white, like, what she sees in like the movies and the Barbie dolls. And then when you're made fun of for looking different, to have someone that's at that pedestal, that has fought in the UFC, that has done, the what is it, Dancing with the Stars, the cooking shows, Sports
Mhm.
Illustrated, to have someone be like, let me take a minute and like really just let your daughter be, her, and tell her how much and how beautiful she is. Like that has impacted my heart so much, and Abdul's heart, by simply just being like, reinforcing that. And I'm that parent to where like I'm open with her. I'm open with you. My
Mhm.
Amaris, she wanted to protest when Black Lives Matter was a big thing and started. And I took her, I let her make her own sign, and I took her and I explained everything to her,
Mhm.
and I don't believe in hiding things from our kids because I feel like my mom hid a lot from me.
Mhm.
My grandma hid that lifestyle from me. No, where the light keeps going in and out.
It's okay.
And so I don't want her to experience that.
Yeah, and you're also, because if anything, one of the underlining, like, I don't know if it was a goal that was, voicely, really loudly message, but it's like you want to reshape the future. And with her asking about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and everyone else that has lost their lives, does show that, like, obviously she has an invested interest, not just because she shares the same skin color, but it's like this is your opportunity for you to make sure, like, when she gets to your age, or when she even gets like 18 or 16, 18, 21, 25, whatever it is, that the lessons you've taught her about what happened last year, last February, it will hopefully, I mean, you can't tell the future, but like hopefully, like at least
Right.
walking towards the right direction. And I think that's honestly the best thing a parent can do. I mean, I'm a, I'm an uncle of a cat, and then I have a cat. I'm a cat father to my partner's cat. So I mean, I have no way to really tell, but I think if you, I mean, okay, so people watching online, watching on YouTube, on Christiana's left shoulder, if nicely
Yeah.
facing us, says brave on it. So if you got anything from this episode, it's that she was brave to tell her story, brave, which every guest I've had, they're always brave to tell the stories, because it's never A, easy, or B, they think that's
Right.
interesting. It's like, holy Jesus Christ, Christiana. So I mean, you gotta, I think if you install that into your kids growing up, to be brave and stand up. And I mean, your daughter told the teacher fucked up by didn't doing anything.
Right. Right. Right.
And then you got a call. So I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Christiana, before I let you go, I do like to ask two hypothetical questions from this
Okay.
packet of 170. If you know, not you're not getting all of
Okay.
them. So there were two questions that I thought would be a little fun. And I honestly, I had no idea what this conversation was going to go. I had the topic sheet, but it's like, what question can I find that
I
actually
was trying
pertains?
to think on there. I was like, did we cover everything you wanted to cover
I mean, honestly,
for the
these are,
most part?
for the most part, like, it's just
Okay.
more like, how you were saying that, oh, leading into the podcast, it's like, oh, there's a point, there's a topic, kind of veering off to the left. Oh, go back to the topic sheet. So
Right.
it's just
Okay.
more like, guiding points in case it does kind of
Okay.
dip down a little bit. So no worries. Honestly, with how much we could talk more, I've seen no problem bringing you on again for a second appearance.
Well, awesome. I would love that.
So my first hypothetical question to you, with you being so popular in the social media world, in this crazy hypothetical world, if you worked in the entertainment industry and had a pseudonym, so a different name that you would go by, Lady Gaga, for example, what would your alias be?
That's a hard one. Can I be Wonder Woman, or is that already taken?
How about you can, but I want to say like change the spelling, so it's like
Could it be
one.
like WWUN?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Take it. Um, so I have this crazy. I have this kind of like, I don't know why I started doing this, but when it came to like me getting someone's attention, like one of the guys I work with, his name's Sam Kennedy, for example. I call him Sam Kennedy the Fourth, House of Targaryen, second to the name, blah blah blah. I think if I had to pick a pseudonym, I would just throw as many Game of Thrones esque references of like houses of sons and blah blah blah. It's just so like if I put on like a little business card, it takes from top to bottom.
I like that. I like that. I always stick with Wonder Woman,
Mhm.
because I feel like I have just conquered freaking everything. And but really, the secret is because when I was my daughter was little, we just both dressed up as Wonder Woman.
Oh.
And for the longest time, my daughter swore I was Wonder Woman. Like every time she would see like a Wonder Woman cup or a TV on TV, she'd be like, "Mommy, that's you. Mommy, you're on this cup. Mommy, you're on this poster." And I'd be like, "Yeah, that's me."
There you go.
So
There you
now
go.
everyone's like, "If you could be in here," I'm like, "Wonder Woman." My daughter thinks I'm Wonder Woman.
Not Gal Gadot. I'll be Wonder Woman. The
Yeah.
whole shebang bang on that one.
I mean, if I was a guy, I think I would want to be Thor. He's like,
Well, Thor or Dwayne Johnson. Thor or Dwayne Johnson. Those are the two that
okay,
you should go to.
okay, true.
My last question for you. So if you had an animal or plant renamed in your honor, what would you want to carry your name? So you can be like animal or plant, A, B, what animal and what plant. Plants, I'm like
Ooh,
so on. I don't really know. Like I want that tree.
the fern. I want to be the fern over there. I think I would want to be a lion.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, I could be a lion. And what was the second part of the question?
I think you answered both actually, because it's like
Okay,
plant or animal, and what would you want?
which one?
Which
I
one,
would
basically?
definitely be a lion.
Very protective, and also will
Yes.
basically they'll fuck you up
Yep. Nicely.
nicely. Little smile as your daughter takes this person down in a head and arm wrestling move. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I don't have to do it. She just does it. I'll just stand there and smile.
Christiana, where can the people find you on social media?
K. Kamara, I believe, on Instagram. Don't have Facebook, only Instagram. Sorry, guys.
Which I also realize, but you have two Instagrams.
I do. So, and I'm not sure if one is private,
Yeah,
and that is the one I no longer use.
the Christiana
So
Hayes.
Christiana Hayes, yeah.
Yeah,
I think the
yeah,
one that is now it's public.
yeah.
My story, you can see all my pages, you can see workouts on there. You could see, the learn to love, you can see fight cards on there. But I do want to say it's K. Kamara.
Let me confirm because I had
Okay,
that message up. We are looking at K. Kamara 16.
16, got it. So
Huh.
go follow.
Ma'am, you officially have a podcast to your name. You will have many more, whether it's with me or someone else. I'm okay. I'll let that go if it's with someone else. How do you feel?
I feel so good. I feel like actually, I truly do feel like I lifted a lot off of my chest. And I'm so happy that I got to experience this with you,
Mhm.
somebody that I actually, exchanged words with back in high school. But,
Honestly, I
someone that
was,
can be,
yeah, someone
someone
with a
that I can
history
be
with.
like, yes, someone that I could be like, I did exist in high school. I don't look the same in high school. My personality is not the same as in high school. So that I'm really happy and I'm very thankful that you reached out. So thank you.
Of course, with Anna Nickel or from Anna Miller from when we were in high school together. One of the questions, like, if you could kind of like redo something, if there's something like you could improve upon, like if you had the chance to go back to high school. I remember saying to her, like, I wouldn't be so in my head because, like, I've known Anna since we were kids because her brother and I do Boy Scouts. It's like I've known her for a while, but like when it got to high school, I was just like, oh, that's Anna, the sports athlete, and
Hmm.
super popular with all of these like other like not famous, other like very sporty
Popular people.
popular people.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like it's still the same Anna I've known for like most of my life. Why did I have all these like anxieties and all these like things stop me from talking with her?
Right.
Look at that. Now, if we could, that's how I feel with you too. Like I know, like you're always very like I always like kind of lit up when I saw you. I feel like I lit up when I saw everyone because like I'm just happy. Yay, people!
You are such a happy person. That's why like I feel like this podcast idea, I don't know when you thought of it or how you came up with it, but I think it's brilliant because you were always outgoing. You were never rude to anybody. You're at least that I know of.
Mm,
You only hear so much, but
I
I
went by a
always
different name. My pseudo name was who
yeah.
was got that
Yeah.
bad reputation with.
No, I was really, I didn't hesitate. I was never bullied in school, but I think that if there were a few people that would have reached out to me, I would have probably pushed it aside, you know. But so I'm really happy that you reached out. So I'm thankful. I feel relieved that I was able to get a lot off of my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that whoever's listening, like it inspires somebody to either, grasp onto their life, believe that it will change, or go work out,
Or go work. Giant thank you to the guests for coming on and telling their story. And thank you to you, the listener or watcher that made it to the end of the episode. And if you like what you heard or watched and would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on all podcast platforms and YouTube. If
If you'd like to stay in the loop in terms of episode releases, again, check us out on KC Media 13 on both Instagram and Twitter, and then Conlu K Media on Facebook. If you'd like to be a guest, I'd love to hear your story. Email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. And until the next time, everyone, please take care.